FCX going to hold.
Nervous traders watching trillions of dollars wiped from US shares.
The stock market suffering major losses on the heels of the president's tariffs.
The U.S. and indeed much of the world may be on a collision course with a recession.
It's those fears that sent investors running for the exits.
Frankly, the best likelihood of avoiding a recession is that there is going to be some deal-making done and a lot of those tariffs have walked back.
The S&P 500 tumbled nearly 5% and the Nasdaq plunged almost 6%. The Magnificent Seven stocks were all down, with Amazon and Apple sold off the most. The US president wasn't fazed.
The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom.
But investors are being more realistic.
Immediate pain, short-term pain, long-term, nobody can really say.
I don't think it's going to take very long for it to settle out.
The losses reverberated across Asian markets and pushed the ASX 200 into correction territory. It fell 2.4%. The retirement savings of Australians were not immune.
People are going to be a little bit worried at the moment. I think it's very much about over the long term, you need the risk to ensure your super goes up and down, and most people only have about half their super in shares. So super funds are set up for these sorts of circumstances.
Small businesses, however, are not set up for such a large shift in global markets, and some fear the lack of tariffs in Australia will lead to a price war, with businesses overseas searching for new customers. Adam Corder's firm has put plans to enter the US market on ice, and he's worried cheap products will hit Australian shelves.
Being able to operate in our market and not have the same tariffs imposed may put us at a disadvantage if it came to pricing.
Figuring out how to stay competitive in uncertain times. Rachel Clayton, ABC News.
For this Virginia microbrewery, the malt that makes the beer, the equipment that bottles it, even the caps that seal it, all come from overseas.
Everything's interconnected, especially in North America. And if we get a price increase on any of our ingredients, we have to factor that into our cost of goods, and we have to pass that on to the consumer.
Bill Butcher has been pouring beer in Alexandria for 14 years. He says Donald Trump's tariff agenda has capsized months of preparation.
Yeah, we put a plan in place at the beginning of the year. This type of tariff situation just throws everything into chaos, and it takes the plan and just really makes it meaningless.
The new taxes on imports are brewing problems abroad too, upending industries from clothes, flowers and cars. This auto plant in Canada forced to shut down temporarily and lay off hundreds of workers.
3 different sets of US tariffs remain in place. They are all unjustified, unwarranted, and in our judgment, misguided.
Donald Trump is sticking to his guns.
The tariffs give us great power to negotiate.
But not all Americans are as confident.
It's chaotic. It's definitely creating a lot of uncertainty.
It makes me just a little uneasy just because we don't know the end game.
While industries are warning of price hikes to come, supply chains are already being hit hard.
The brewers here thought they'd escape the impacts of aluminium tariffs because they bottle most of their beer. But now their bottle supplier has cut them off, dealing instead with bigger brewers who are also switching to bottles to dodge the tax.
So we're kind of in limbo now, trying to figure out where we're going to get bottles from.
Searching for solutions in Trump's new economy. Cayman Gock, ABC News, Virginia.
Markets are having their worst moment since 2020 because this is just like 2020. Not a pandemic, obviously, but this is as big a hit of uncertainty as COVID-19 or the GFC. And it's for a reason that's not getting much attention. Trump is using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to do the tariffs. It's a 50-year-old law that allows a president to freeze the assets of terrorists. Trump is the first to use it for tariffs, and he's doing that because it allows him to bypass Congress. And to use it, Trump has declared that the large and persistent trade deficit is a national emergency. But it's not. The reason for the uncertainty that's causing markets to crash is that this law puts all the decisions entirely with the president, no one else. And Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. And that's why we have this graph. Uncertainty has skyrocketed and markets are crashing. Also, the way the tariffs were calculated is bonkers. Trump claims that Australia has a tariff on American imports of 10%, but that's just the GST we pay on everything. It doesn't discriminate against imports. The other tariffs are simply the trade deficit of a country as a percentage of total imports, which has economists quite baffled. It assumes that if there's a trade deficit, it must by definition be unfair. If there's no tariff, they must be hiding something. With globally significant policy being decided by one person with zero expertise, there can be no certainty whatsoever. And that means recession and falling share prices are inevitable because investment and banking will seize up as surely as they did during COVID-19 and the GFC. So fasten your seatbelts.